Welcome back. Match preview, Bayern Munich versus Manchester United. And the big news is it's another injury blow. Aaron Wan Bissaka is going to be sidelined for up to 2 months. Get your thoughts and opinions in on that one. Are you looking forward to this game? Because let me tell you, I'm bang up for this one. Really looking forward to it. Club's going through a bit of a crisis, but this is what it means to be a Manchester United supporter. Back your team, back your manager, back your football club. Get all your opinions in today's chat, and we will discuss some of them throughout the video. First of all, your reaction to that Aaron Wan Bissaka news?
Well, it's concerning, especially how he's got this. He was in America, travelling about, comes back, got the flu, not on the pitch, on the bench, and then he's brought on. No training, no nothing. So there's a few questions to be asked, and I don't think we're going to get the answers on it. How this injury got picked up. To me, he shouldn't have been on the pitch if he's not trained. So at the end of the day, looks like he's out for 2 months, and it is a big blow. Because if you look, Erik Ten Hag, Anthony on the right, Aaron Wan Bissaka, they're his go-to men. Aaron Wan Bissaka, most improved player, and Anthony, he always goes to him. So we're going to struggle down that right, and he's got to get it sorted.
I'm just going to go through the injury list as it stands at the moment, and you could actually pick a decent 11 out of the players that are injured at the moment. I'm going to go Tom Eaton, Rafael Varane and Shaw centre-back, Wan Bissaka right-back, Malacia left-back, Kobbie Mainoo in the pivot, Mason Mount with Amrabat in midfield, Anthony on the right, Ahmad on the left and Sancho up front. That's not really a bad team, and that's the injuries that we've got currently.
Yeah, but on that list, we've not got Anthony Martial, which should cheer everyone up. You know what I mean? But
what a surprise that is, Anthony Martial not on it.
No,
out of all the injuries we've got, Martial's not injured.
Yeah,
he's available to play as it stands now.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to suck it up. But that injury list there, that team you've just read out, could play in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace. Yeah. But no, that is hard to take that as a football club, the amount of injuries early on. And this latest one, Aaron Wan Bissaka. I mean, we've got to suck it up. There's nothing we can do. And it's times like this, and you was right, you've got to back your club. You've got to back your manager. You've got to back the players. Of course, Saturday's game was disappointing. No one's, no one's arguing against that. It was rubbish. That's plain and simple. It was rubbish. But you've got to back your team. This is a tough time. This isn't a quick fix, what Erik Ten Hag's took over. This isn't a year. Yes, we had a good year. It's not a 2-year fix. It could even be possibly more than 3 years. The amount of managers we've had, the turnovers and everything, you have to stick with your club. You can't just go screaming after 1 game or 2 games. All right, the 4 games we've played, 5 games, it doesn't matter. It's early in the season. We've got an injury list like that, and you're reading that out. That is a disaster. No wonder I can't get a doctor. They're all here at Old Trafford. They are. They're all moonlighting. So, that's how big of an injury list we've got. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to stick with your club. You've got to stick. You've got to back him. I don't know how he's going to get a result here at Bayern Munich. It's beyond me how he's going to do it. But let's hope the players put the effort in. We've got to get behind him. And you just never know. We could get a result because, we're playing one of the top European sides here.
We've not beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League at their ground. But listen, records are there to be broken as well. And for me, I've seen enough from Erik Ten Hag, especially last season, that he's going to get this right. You go through the injury list there. These players there that would normally be in the first team, his first choice picks in the starting 11, and they're not there currently. So how you can judge a manager and say what I've seen out there on social media, which I think is a disgrace of Ten Hag out already after only a matter of games. Yeah, it's really disappointing. Some of the tactics that he's employed, some of the players that he's picked, I've questioned myself, but that doesn't mean that you can't back your manager. Yeah, you can critique him. The formation that he started with against Brighton, to me, it looked like a diamond formation. It doesn't work. He was going to start that against Arsenal if Scott McTominay was fit. Now, for me, you can't go and play that going into the game against Bayern Munich. You've got to maybe go back to basics, something like he was playing last season, maybe that 4-2-3-1 formation, or this formation he started this season at the very start. But you've got to have runners in that midfield for me. You've got to make sure that midfield is compact, because if you don't, we're going to get hurt. And hopefully, and I'm sure he does, and his coaching staff can see the mistakes that were made against Brighton on the weekend, and let's just hope he can rectify them and the players can against Bayern Munich. There's no better game for him to do it.
No better game to do it. You're right, but European football, it's as simple as this. You have to keep hold of the ball. You have to stop the opposition playing, and then you've got to work your way into it. How we work into this, I think we've just got to crowd that midfield. The two wingers, like I said, against Arsenal, have to come back. Whoever plays out wide, I don't know who's going to play out wide, but they've got to come back and help that midfield because you just got to hold the ball. And if you give the ball away against this Bayern Munich side, they've got wingers and then they've got Harry Kane there to put the ball away. So tough game this, but I'm behind them. And to be honest with you, if Erik ten Hag comes away with the result from this game, absolutely fantastic. I'll be over the moon. I'll be backing him. I'll be screaming and shouting. I want this. I want this, right, to shut everyone up. Because it is ridiculous what's going on out there, even from a majority of United fans in the media. It's a joke. Everyone just slating Ten Hag, slating Onana, slating Rashford. Yes, players there what haven't played well. Let's get something straight. We know on that field it's not been good. Players off-field antics haven't helped. The injuries, players out there low on confidence. They're looking unfit. Some of these players. Why that is, I don't know. And then you've got the added thing of players hanging around this club like a bad smell, what should have been out. So everything is against United. Things aren't rosy in the camp. There's loads of other things there. But at the end of the day, this is Champions League football. And we've got to get behind the team what goes out there and make sure that they do the best. And Erik ten Hag's got to do that. Big trial.
This is what we wanted as Man United fans, to be in the Champions League and play games like this. And this is our opening Champions League game. You've got to be backing your team. You've got to get behind him no matter what. But for me, we've got to get to half-time. Definitely not getting beat. If we get to half-time and we're drawing, for me, that should give the team confidence then going into the second half to maybe go more attacking with certain players, maybe change it with substitutions, but get to half-time drawing. I'm confident that we can get something out of this game.
Yeah,
because you've seen it on past games recently as well. You know, after half-time, you know, if we are getting beat, the heads do seem to drop. And we just can't have that in this game going forward, because if they do this, some of these players, that scoreline, really, let's have it right, it could get silly. And we don't want that.
No. Listen, on the back of that Brighton game, I don't really think there's much confidence out there in this team that they can do it on the things like I said.
Give us some confidence. Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to give you confidence. I'm always confident. But the thing is, a lot of people out there looking at the players,
of course.
you know, they've said like they don't look fit. They don't look as though they know what they're doing. So at the end of the day, I'll repeat it. Getting a result here will be fantastic. And I just want to see the players work hard and get over that Brighton game and put in a decent performance. I will be absolutely over the moon coming away with at least a draw there. I can't see a win, but if we get the win, it's happened before, fantastic. But I'm backing him. I'm backing him to put in a performance. And that's what I want to see. And I want to see him play proper European football. And that's keeping hold of the ball and stopping them playing.
Yeah, just a typical performance like we used to see under Sir Alex Ferguson, playing away from home in the Champions League as well. It wasn't always free-flowing attacking football. You'd have to just sit there and contain the opposition.
Suck it
up.
Get
to half-time, like you say, sucking it up and making sure you're fighting and you're defending for your teammates as well. And when the opportunities come, you've got to take them. And that's one thing that we need to do in this game, because I don't think we'll get many. But when we do get an opportunity, we need to stick the ball in the back of the net. Just diving into the chat there. Danny Egan, best United channel out there. Much appreciated as well, my mate, for your super chat.
Thank you.
MT as well says, Bayern have injuries too, which I've seen, I think Kingsley Coleman, I think he's a doubt. Joshua Kimmich, I think he only played about 60 minutes over the weekend in that draw to Bayer Leverkusen. I think they might have one or two more, but the big one is Thomas Tuchel. He won't be on the sidelines for this game because of when he got sent off in last season's competition against Man City. So, you know, will that be a blow for Bayern Munich? You'd have thought so, not having a manager on the sideline.
Yeah, not having a manager on the sideline, it's a bit of a hindrance, but they're at home and they can work it out. So, you know, I don't think they'll worry about that too much. They've got a good structure there, but they've still got one or two injuries, but they're still strong. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to hold them. I just look at it. It's a group game, going away, get a point. That's what you would think, writing on paper. I look at the first game, away from home, let's go get a point. But we're in dire need, right, of of a lift. Everyone needs a lift. And go in there, playing hard, getting stuck in. I'm not sure how or who is going to pick here, but what I see is that we need an injection of pace of young players coming in. And them two young uns, for me, as far as I'm concerned, has to be Hannibal and has to be Pellistri. Them two will run all day. The only thing I worry about Hannibal, again, he come on against Brighton, got booked. I keep seeing him get booked. I keep seeing rash tackles from him over the summer in pre-season. That's what I keep seeing of him. So he's going to have to watch himself. But we do need a fresh injection of young blood who are willing to run and run and run. And at the end of the day, that just might help.
Yeah, like you're saying there with Hannibal as well, I'm more leaning towards him starting, to be honest with you, because we need a bit of an injection, a spark from somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes the youngsters, when they do come in, they've got no fear and they might give you that. But for me, Pellistri, he has to start on that right-hand side. I keep saying it, keep banging that drum for him to start, because I just think he's an out ball as well. You know, when the team's under pressure and they want to just get rid of the ball, he can be that player who's hugging the touchline to give it to him, and he can run at him. Now, on the left-hand side for them, they have that Alphonso Davies. He's more of a winger, like an attacking forward. The way he gets up the pitch, he's absolutely rapid and he can recover. But, you know, if you've got Pellistri still, like, pushing up, you know, pushing their defence back, he can be the out ball and he can run at players, Pellistri, and then get crosses in maybe for Hoyland or Bruno running onto it in the box. We've just got to try something different, in my eyes.
Well,
in the selection, anyway.
Yeah, you know, you're talking about the game there, how it might be played and that, and how we've got to have players running in the box. To be perfectly honest with you, I can only really see one tactic, especially in the first half, and that's having Hoyland up there, trying to hold the ball up and players then catch up play.
Counter-attacking.
I think that's the only way we can do it. I think our players have to be solid and fill that midfield and then have to catch Hoyland up. I think Hoyland will have to sacrifice parts of his game here just to play for the team, and the team just needs the ball holding up. I think there'll be a bit of space, but to be honest with you, I look at Rashford out there on the width. I just want him just to come back. I don't really want him charging down that wing, because at the end of the day, he's not getting back to help that midfield player out. That's why I just want Hoyland up there and then Rashford and hopefully Pellistri out on the wing, then come to join. And if them two do get the ball, I just want them to run straight at their defence and get into that box where anything can happen. And you've seen referees here in Europe that, you know, they're not like the Premier League referees. Little touch, bang, and it's a penalty. So that's how I see our tactics. Hold the midfield, hold the back four, keep the ball, and then have Hoyland up there as the target man. I don't see any other way, because the lack of confidence in the team, in the way they play, I need players to stay in the position.
The thing is, though, with you mentioning about Rashford, when we've seen it against Brighton, the formation that he played, Rashford was basically the centre forward. He played with two centre forwards for the majority of that game in what I've seen. And then other times I've seen a 4-3-3, which I don't even think the players could even follow the instructions throughout the game, because it was a bit of a mismatch. But with Rashford, you've seen him early on in that Arsenal game. He was tracking back in that Arsenal game. You've got to give him that. Anthony as well on the flanks, but he obviously is unavailable. But for me, Rashford, I think Ten Hag, in a way, is kind of quite happy in certain games for Rashford not to actually track back, because Rashford's at his best when we're counter-attacking, and that's when Rashford is in the scoring opportunities to create something and score goals. Rashford ain't good going that way. He's good going that way and running into space. And Manchester United, if they've got him in space and the counter-attacking, more often than not, he will get in positions where he can create or score goals. We've seen that against Brighton over the weekend. The one problem I have with Rashford is he's always looking at his boots. He's looking at his boot laces instead of lifting his head up, looking to see who's around him, like Hoyland. We've got a striker there now, a centre forward. He needs to lift his head up a little bit more when he gets in opportunities in the wide areas and look up to cross that ball, because he will be then or around the box, I think, Hoyland.
Rashford against Arsenal played deeper, so did the other winger.
Yeah.
Anthony helped the midfield player out. That's what I want him to do. But you're right, Rashford needs to lift his head up. What I did see on Saturday, I didn't see anyone lift their head up, give a first-time ball, a cross, or anything to Hoyland. Didn't see it at all. It was poor. That's how I seen it. All I seen was good football in the first 15 minutes. What I am disappointed at, and what we should all be disappointed at, is from the set plays, from free kicks, from corners. I've been banging on about it now for a year. If anyone out there can tell me who is our specialist free kick taker from dead balls or anywhere, then I don't know who it is, because I have not seen it. I have not seen anyone good at it. Eriksen used to be good at it years ago, but I've not seen it in the last 12 months where he is regularly putting balls in, right? Killer balls. That's what we need. And the corners, to be honest with you, are absolutely pathetic, and it must improve. You're not going to get many chances here. You don't often get, against good sides in Europe, many chances. And when you do get them, you've got to take them. And free kicks and corners are utilised by the top teams. And we're not doing that. And I need to see it on Wednesday night.
Yeah, no, I get that. And with you talking about set pieces, to me, one of our attacking threats from set pieces is actually Casemiro in the box when Eriksen is taking him. And, does that tell you something about the players that are in the starting 11 with the heading? Are they capable of, giving a decent header in there? For me, Scott McTominay, I think he's got to start this one. I think Erik ten Hag will actually pick him for his height in there. Because if you look around the team, we're not really that big. And you look at some of the players that are for Bayern Munich, the centre-halves, up top as well, they have got some height on him. So when they're in their set pieces, corners or set pieces and around the box, it'll be tough if we've not got any height in there.
Yeah, well, I'm not going into the Scott McTominay debate of playing him and not playing Casemiro or who we're going to play, because I haven't got a clue. I think what it is, I think Erik ten Hag will look at that team today, will look at the players, check the fitness, because there's people there, like your Casemiro, who just look unfit. And to be honest with you, he looks unfit because he's being asked to do things he can't do. And that is run and run and run and run. He's being asked to get up, down, to the side, everywhere. And he can't do it. He needs the help. And he does look unfit, to be honest. He's not the only one. Martinez looks unfit. I don't think that injury is helping him out. He went away with his international side, didn't play, but supposed to have trained. He come back. He just looks unfit. He looks as though like he's put weight on. So that's not helping him. And there's other players out there.
I was a bit confused on the weekend when I seen that starting 11 and the formation of that diamond shape of Casemiro sat there on his own, and he's having to fill the gaps, do the running. And we know what sort of a team Brighton are and how they can pass through the whole team within 2 or 3 passes. And then we've seen it with him. Was it for the second goal? Yeah. I think they've done 30 passes in around Manchester United and then scored a great goal to finish. And, we need bodies in that midfield. And, the wide lads, if he does set up like that, they are going to have to tuck in and overload that midfield, or even when we're on attack. One of the full-backs will have to tuck in as well into the midfield, so we don't get hurt on a counter-attack for Bayern Munich if the ball does get transitioned over.
I just look at it, it's a difficult, but listen, there's one thing, right, what annoys me, and I speak to lots of people here at Old Trafford when we play. I see all the questions out there sometimes. Well, sometimes I see the questions and your comments, and listen, let's get something straight here. If you're going to play a player, then play him in his right position. I looked there, I thought Bruno had a terrible game. Not that he is a terrible player, that he had a terrible game, because he was played out on the right again. That's how it looked to me. At the start of the game, he was on the right. Next thing you know, he's trying to help out behind the centre forward. Then he was out on the left. Then he was left full back, and he was running everywhere, and he was trying to do too much. Erik ten Hag has to pick a side against Bayern Munich with players what play in that position. You're wasting Bruno. He looks poor.
But the thing is, though,
no, but he looks poor when he's out there on the right, and I'm sick of it. I can't have it anymore. So let's have players played in the right position, and that is a start to playing a good game at the very beginning.
Yeah, if you're just touching on that with Bruno, I can't really remember any games apart from maybe Chelsea at home last season when Bruno's played out on the right or on the left-hand side. And we've actually won a game. I think we all know, don't we, that Bruno's best position is in the middle. And against Brighton, don't get me wrong, I'm not sticking up for him here, but I think he was frustrated that other players in the midfield and in and around the team weren't doing their job in pressing, and he then ends up like kind of losing it, you know, then trying to take on their job role to then cover them. And it's like he's trying to do too much. And in a way, he's then affecting the whole team. And to me, Bruno Fernandes in them sort of situations, as a captain, he needs to give them a rollicking, but then also have some like composure and, what do you call it? What's the word? Bit of restraint in his own tactical performances, in his positioning, in where he needs to be, instead of trying to do everyone else's job.
Yeah, but he's trying to do everyone else's job, and there's one or two other players trying to do everyone else's job because they're not in the right position. Well, that's down to Erik ten Hag. Clear as day. The manager has to look at himself and say, whoa, it's not working when I play a certain player in a different position. At this moment in time, players aren't easily able to adapt. And against Brighton, those players what weren't in that position or were tried in a different skill set didn't work. And Erik ten Hag has to look at himself and say, I can't experiment anymore by playing players out of position. And how he's not come to the conclusion right now about playing Bruno out wide, I'm not sure what's going on there. But he has to stop. He has to stop the messing about with Bruno and put him in the position where we've seen him when he first come to Old Trafford. And that first 12, 18 months, we've seen a great player, always there, always in the box, taking the free kicks, scoring the goals, running in and latching on. We're not seeing that when he plays out wide. So Erik ten Hag, take a look at yourself and just play players in the position what they know.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, like I say, that diamond formation, 4-3-3, you know, with Bruno there, he was all over the place. You know, he was on the right-hand side, playing at centre-back sometimes. I know. In the second half. So, you know, they've got to have a little bit of restraint there, you know, some of the players in the tactics that they're being instructed to play. Going into the chat, Zami Asset, if Sancho joins Barcelona, who would you want from Barcelona in return? Also, why did you sell Welbeck? He's always been underrated. Start with the Sancho one. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, couldn't care less about Sancho. Not interested in him. Think he's absolute rubbish. Disrespected the manager, and I don't think you'll ever see him again. I don't think anyone will be able to work that out. If we do manage to get an exchange for him, I don't know what exchange we'll get back in return. Welbeck was injured, wasn't getting a regular place. Very, very good player. We've seen that for a while. We've even seen it when he went to Arsenal, but he's always been injury prone. But then again, that's Man United for you. We're all injury prone here now, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't know if that's that question had come from a newspaper report or something. I did see something on Sancho yesterday linking him to Barcelona, but from what I always seen Barcelona play, they run, they press, they attack, they get back. And to me, that's not what Sancho does. So I can't see Barcelona wanting Jadon Sancho, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Anything else to add on this video as we're going into it?
No, it's just that I've just got not like a worrying feeling. It's concerning, you know, like players, injuries, not working together, looking unfit. But I just got to say, you have to back the club. We know what's going on behind the scenes. We know things need changing. But at this moment in time, it doesn't look good. We've only seen glimpses of what we want to see. And talking to people there this weekend against Brighton there, you know, they spend a lot of money. I've seen people come over from Ireland and that with the kids and all that. And they were going, I'm spending all this money here, coming over here. And I had to sit through that. Do you know what I mean? The kids wanted to leave. That's not good. It's not good for the future. But, you know, it's a time, well, at this time, it's not looking good. But there will be good times coming. Erik ten Hag just needs time. And I say it again from the beginning. This will take 3 or 4 years from the moment Erik ten Hag. I expect him to get it turned round after 3 years. Then you have to start looking at him. But for people to go out there, and United fans in the media and all that, going on about Onana, Rashford, the manager, everyone, sack him. He's going to lose his job if we get beat against Bayern. Absolute no way is that a way to support your team. And you have to go through the rough times to appreciate the good times. We've not had that many good times, I agree with you, but Erik ten Hag is sorting out other people's mess, and it will take time. And I'm confident he'll do it. I'm confident that we're going to put in a decent show against Bayern Munich, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm just concerned still. There's still a lack of discipline in this team.
Yeah.
You're looking against Brighton there with the formation, some of the players out there tracking back.
Yeah.
The discipline with some of them just aren't there. And when there is a setback in the game, whether that's when we go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, etc., it just seems like the heads drop. And like we was talking about Bruno before, it's like then he takes on too much, tries doing everyone else's job, running around, and then it dysfunctions the team because what he's meant to be doing, he isn't doing. He's then helping back at left back, right back, centre back, and he's all over the place. And we need some of these players just to concentrate on the instructions that they're given and actually do them, so other players like Bruno aren't having to shift you out.
Yeah, well, I look at what's going on here at United, and there is things wrong, and there's a bad smell around. There's players hanging around, and they're just leaving a bad smell, and that will take time to get over. But I just look to Wednesday's game and that, and I just hope that the players work together, forget what's going on behind the scenes, and just concentrate. And it's going to be difficult. I know players look unfit, and I think one or two of them are. The injuries and that is a big problem. But looking at the injuries, I'm hoping that at the end of September, beginning of October, some of these players what are injured start to come back. So by the time we get to Christmas, I'm just hoping that the injury list is non-existent.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, like in the summer just gone, the transfer window, I know Erik ten Hag hasn't got his priority signings or his number one choices in certain positions, but when I'm hearing out there in the media that the Glazers are the problem here at Manchester United, which we all know they are because of how they've run the club in the last 10 years or so, but at the end of the day, I'm not having these players hiding behind that, because the Glazers don't stop some of these players tracking a man, running back and helping out the rest of your players.
I don't think it.
I think for me that's a cop out. We've seen some of these players last year. No, not last year. More so the year before under Ollie and Ranić. And they've thrown the tools down through managers under the buses in the past. And I just don't want some of these players hiding behind that fact.
I think using the Glazer thing, right? The media are using it. I don't actually think that any player goes out there thinking, oh, this is the Glazers' fault, or they come off the pitch and think this is Glazers' fault.
Yeah.
It's down to the people on the pitch keeping to the instructions, and sometimes them instructions ain't good enough. And that's a fact. So going on the pitch, I think the last thing they'll ever think about is the Glazers, and coming off the pitch, they'll just come off absolutely gutted with their heads down. Well, that's how they should do. Should come off the pitch just like the players, the fans, absolutely gutted. I mean, I can't really do anything after a heavy and poor defeat like that. I mean, it was my birthday. My birthday. What did I do? I'll tell you what I did. I cleaned the leaves off the grass twice.
Outside?
Outside. I didn't want to speak to anyone, didn't want to be near anyone. That's how a defeat affects me. And I was 65 this weekend and didn't celebrate it because of that shower of rubbish what I watched. So I know how people feel, and I hope some of them players felt exactly the same way. Gutted and ashamed, right, that they didn't put in the effort. But at the end of the day, it will come right. Let's just hope we get somebody in now to revitalise it. These players come back, and it will take time this side of Christmas to get it back into shape. So you're going to go through more agonies. I know it, and I did say, I've said it many times, enjoy the chaos, but look through the chaos, right? And then you can see the shining light. There is something going on here at United, but it's absolute turmoil, carnage, and an injury list like that, what you read out at the beginning, that's a full side. That's a full side, a side what could get out in the Carabao Cup. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully we'll get there by Christmas, and hopefully that this Champions League, we can do something in it and get through the group, and that's the priority. It's not the performance. It's not scoring 2, 3, 4 goals. It's getting a result any way you can. because we're in need of it. So let's hope Wednesday is the start of like a little bit of a fight back and a little bit of pride back into them players on the pitch so the fans can get behind them. Fans, they boo, they do this. Listen, that's what happens. It's happened before. It'll happen again. People are getting upset. People are ranting and raving. But at the end of the day, stick with them.
Yeah, Danny G, ups and downs are plenty. Some man for one man says Erik ten Hag is building from the bottom. When the success comes, it will last, and that's what you're hoping for.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've seen signs of it last year in the way Manchester United played. I don't think any of us would have thought we'd have got to one cup final, but we got to two last year in his first season. Maybe we did overachieve with some of the players that we had last season, but I do think the injuries that have occurred at the start of the season, I think that is having its toll at the moment, and he's just having to find out different ways in trying to get points in the games, and up to now it's just not worked. And this is also when you see you the men from the boys as well in this team, you know, who have got discipline, who wants to fight for the shirt, who wants to track back, and who wants to give everything on the pitch. And we can all see, we've all got eyes, there's still some of them in that squad who need throwing out of this football club. Yeah,
there's 4 or 5 reasons, and I've said earlier on about injuries, off-field antics, what have been going on. There's lots of reasons that, but at the end of the day, this is Manchester United, right? They've gone through troubles before, so they know what to do. They're there. Work together, fight through it, right? And don't use excuses. I'm not using excuses. Every player out there is capable of putting a good performance in and beating anybody. But at the moment, they're just not doing it for various reasons, and they need to get their heads out of the backside and just sort it out. And Erik ten Hag has to get the priorities right on the field, the positioning right, and he has to look at himself as well. And all the players have to do the same. And at times, the fans have to look at themselves as well when they're supporting the team and just get the priorities right. It's bad. It's not good. It doesn't look good. But you have to stick with them. It's cradle to grave. It ain't going away. And you just have to accept sometimes this is a bad period. And I can see this bad period going right through to Christmas.
Okay, let us know your thoughts and opinions on today's talking points. Get involved in the chat. Also, let us know your starting 11, your score predictions for the Bayern Munich versus Manchester United game. Just like to thank everyone as well for joining us, as always, getting involved in the video, watching them, spreading the word. And we will be back tomorrow with another video on the latest Manchester United news, or I might just do a video for you all to come and get involved and have your say on current Manchester United issues. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow, everyone.
Thank you very much.